Someday I'll get used to it. Well, we're not right now, as far as I can tell, engaged in direct warfare in the Gulf or in the Straits or whatever. But Iran is threatening to increase its offensive posture if diplomacy with the U.S. remains deadlocked. In other words, they're threatening us with military action if we don't agree to their absurd demands and literally back off the objectives of this war, which is a non-nuclear Iran and Iran that is not funding terrorism, and an Iran that is not basically engendering unbelievable war and division in the Middle East. There was no point to this war if those things don't happen. But they want us to basically just enter into a ceasefire with no agreement, and then we'll work out the agreement. They also want us to do things that would be stupid and sophomoric, like remove all our troops before we do anything else. Hezbollah will give us weapons. The basic answer of the Israelis is to kill them. Our answer is to say no. I would prefer the Israeli answer, but that's not a bad answer to say no. Same thing in Gaza, although Jared Kushner has gone there to try to see if he can assist the cause of the Palestinians, I think. I'm very surprised at Jared. It seems to me that Israel should be left alone. And you handle both of those. They're not our problem. They're your problem. They want to kill you. Israel should be satisfied with whatever solution they are satisfied with in Gaza, which is right in their border and has killed many of them, including the 1,200 on October the 17th, 7th rather. And the same thing is true up north with Hezbollah. Why we submit to the pressures of lies about Israel and about Gaza and about Hamas. It's one thing to have it printed in the newspapers and they just write it and all these dumb skulls just go along with it. But we know it's untrue. Not only do we know it's untrue, we know it's unhealthy for us. Their own deals for making money with these terrorist murdering bastards. And they're not willing to put aside those deals. They're not willing to put aside the money they make. They're not willing to be tough with Saudi Arabia because it's so rich. They're afraid to be too tough with Iran because they're not sure what's going to happen with Iran. In other words, they're useless because they can't make a decision. We're not, or shouldn't be. But we do have elements of that in a process that has been stretched out as a detriment to our national good too long. This process is too long. Something like this has to be done quickly. Can't be stretched out. Time is on their side. An article today about how they're trying to wear us out, trying to wear out the American public. Are they succeeding? Think about it. Are they succeeding? I'm afraid to say maybe when you look at the polls on the war. So Iran is threatening to escalate in the Strait of Hormuz if we continue to remain adamant about our positions with regard to the negotiations. And our positions have been the same with regard to the negotiations, with regard to the warfare, with regard to everything else and everybody else. Trump has ordered a major reduction in our military in South Korea. And we got to separate that in two ways. Globally, does it make sense to do that? I can't tell you that. I really can't tell. I don't know. I don't know I don't have enough of an overview or inside knowledge of the actual distribution of our forces, particularly the additional ones we've put in Japan, the additional ones we've put in the Philippines. And I'd like to know what's happening to these troops. Are they being taken out of the Asian theater completely, or are they being redistributed? If it is the latter, then we're making the right decision. Because Korea turned us down for help, and you got to pay a price for that. Otherwise, you're going to do it again. Trump went to North Korea several. You want to hear him talk about that?
Yeah, we got the president.
Yeah, let's have him. Let him explain. He does it better than I do.
Very nice, actually. But I called him. I said, "Would you like to give us a little hand? We don't need help with Iran, but if you." I said, "Wait a minute. We have 39, actually." But I called him. I said, "Would you like to give us a little hand? We don't need help with Iran, but if you'd like, give us a hand with Iran." He said, "No, thanks." And I said, "Wait a minute. We have 39,000 soldiers over there guarding you from Kim Jong-un, your next door neighbor, and you're not going to help us on a very easy military operation in Iran? That's strange." No, we'd rather not get involved." I say, "Well, why are we involved in helping you?" So, and I want to help them, but you know, when you ask somebody, "Would you like to give us a hand?" and they say, "No, thanks," and then we're guarding them from a country and paying ourselves billions of, it's costing us billions and billions of dollars to protect not only them, but other countries. Look at NATO. We spend hundreds of billions of dollars. Very nice, actually. But I called him. I said, "Would you like to give us a little?"
The president is piercing the absolutely useless alliances that we had that look good on paper but don't deliver. All of that is a tremendous waste, not just of money, but it's a waste of resources, and it makes for very poor planning because you depend on them. If you're planning now, what are we going to do about China? And you have a North Korea that likes to turn you down. Well, how about we can't depend on them? Well, if we can't depend on them, we wouldn't want to see North Korea overwhelmed by South Korea overwhelmed by North Korea. But explain to me if North Korea completely controls South Korea, exactly what difference would that make to Japan or any place else? They just have a few more Koreans to have the world, namely preserving Taiwan, than South Korea. If South Korea is not going to be a useful partner, but just a country that sucks blood like so many of them do. Japan's another story. Japan wants to fight and fight like hell. Korea also has reservations about Japan because of their history. There's no time to have reservations about Japan because of their history. Japan is historically the single greatest fighting force in Asia, greater than China, greater than Russia. And with given proper support, they're the army we would want to be with, like with Israel. There's no other army in the Middle East to be worth being with but Israel. Korea is number one. That unless you want to consider and go down much, much further to Australia, which is not right in the scene. But when they have the right government, and they will pretty soon, they're going to go the way of right. Albanese is on his way out for sure. That's a extremely worthwhile alliance. Has given America a lot of good over the years. So you have to know these alliances, know them well, and be tough about it. And who knows if South Korea doesn't come back begging and doing what we want, a ceasefire in Gaza and a disarmament and everything else in Gaza. I don't understand, and I have great respect for Jared and work really well with him. But I don't understand why we give a damn about Gaza. Why don't we just let Israel do whatever the hell it wants there? Gaza doesn't give a damn about us. They train their kids at 2 years old to kill the Jews and to kill us. Cleaning them up is an immediate need for Israel, kind of a long-term need for us. So the Gaza plan, the problem with the Gaza plan is not the plan. The plan will sound right on paper. It's, do we have, are our balls as big as theirs? They're going to say, we're not disarming until Israel gets the hell out of here. And we're going to say, oh, you think we're stupid? You think if we withdraw the Israeli troops from Gaza, since you haven't disarmed for a year and a half, you're actually going to disarm? Why don't you tell that to Democrats? So it's real simple. Give us all your arms. Let the Israeli army, which would be the best in the world for doing this, not some sellout UN terrorist force. Good point. And the delays and the time that's gone by has been extremely damaging to our credibility. We've been at it too long for a great power. Hawaii has been hit by major storms. More than 180,000 people in Hawaii are without power. Really a shame, huh? Our hearts go out to them, and hopefully the federal government and FEMA can do everything they can to help them. Both China and Russia are under tremendous pressure. We think that the New York Times and all of the communist and pro-Islamic terrorist newspapers are convinced that we're losing this war. Yeah, but they're the ones that are drastically realtering their governments and their rights. In Russia, for example, in Russia, the court is just took an opposition party, the Yabloko party. Even that name that they're allowed to have, they probably couldn't get any votes. Who'd vote for the Yabloko? And It was sort of like a 2020 election, that kind of thing. Like Biden was really elected by the people. The reality is that they've taken the Yabloko party was not going to win the election, but they probably were going to get for them an embarrassing number of votes. It'd be a place where the people who are anti-war and are gutsy enough to register that in a so-called secret ballot. You go figure how secret it really is. They're going to be deprived of that opportunity because Putin can't stand even that. He can't stand even that. That's too much. That's too much for him. So we'll have to see what happens with this election. It's going to be very, very close. I wouldn't stay up all night to see if Putin's going to win or not. Right?
That's today?
No, it's coming up. But they got rid of the opposition party. And it was going to get 10% if they gave it that. Democrats now prefer socialism to capitalism. Do you think they know what they're talking about? Is that a product of dreadful? Our schools have become, and less than 50% are at reading level when they graduate.
You nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. And we created a void with our poor education system. We didn't teach history. We didn't teach civics. We didn't teach finance or economics. And who fills that void? It's a story as old as time. Socialists, they're calling themselves democratic socialists, communist, infiltrate. And they certainly infiltrated the universities, but it goes even younger than that. And they've infiltrated and they've taken the place of that education. And that's kind of how it happens.
Well, the college degree people favor socialism 71%. The Dems favor it 60%. Americans in general favor it only 35%. So this is a Democrat love affair and you can imagine if it's 60 and 70% overall, what it must be among Republicans. I don't know if I have that number, but it's down to about 5 or 10.
It must be even, I mean, it's just so incompatible with almost all of our values that it would seem like 5 or 10 would even be high. Right. To be fair, right?
What?
5 to 10% of Republicans value socialism.
No, I don't know. I don't know.
I think that's
Republicans,
even high. I think that it's just incompatible.
71%, 35% of overall voters.
Well, and you brought up the educational side of it, and those numbers go up with undergraduate degrees and advanced degrees. And who's been teaching these kids at these schools? Who are these schools hiring? We've seen it. We've seen it all over the news.
People from the Communist Teachers Union.
And, you know, I don't want to tie it into the anti-Semitism, but yeah, what are they learning at these schools, right? Like we've been covering Harvard, Columbia, all of them really, and University of Michigan, and they've been infiltrated. They've been significantly infiltrated.
Communism has about 100-year history going back to Dewey. And when did anti-Semitism become part of this? I don't think it always was.
Well, it's hard to say because, you know, and if we're going to talk about an educated people, like our Jewish Americans are some of the most educated people that we have. And it's just crazy to me that's allowed to fester in there. But it's radical ideology. These people are far, far left at these universities and even at the business schools. You know,
well, you're going to lose Jewish people who are far, far left. I mean, I was having a conversation with a very new Jewish Republican who had been a Democrat all his life. And he said, people don't realize that 20 to 30% of Jews are anti-Jewish. They're both anti-Israel and anti the religion. And are maybe socialist. Here's what they're, some group, and probably more than just a little, making a big, big effort to take the bartender, take her out from behind the bar, sit her on top of the bar, put some makeup on her, get AI to talk for her, and they're trying to run her for president. That's AOC. And there are a lot of things pushing it, right? But here's one thing that I think will destroy her. The bartender is stupid. She's poorly educated. I don't care about a degree. She's poorly educated since she can't name the states quickly. And she's has no idea what the Constitution really says. I doubt that she's even read it. I mean, she's read the tip book on how to make good cocktails, but I don't think she's read the Constitution. So she is now flirting around with, she may run, she's thinking about it. But she is outraged about the double standard intruding into her personal life. I have been subjected to personal scrutiny. Well, don't you think if you announce that you're going to have eggs injected in, and you start self-injecting yourself in the belly to show people how they can insert eggs in themselves, to go about the unnatural act of artificial insemination, you think maybe you gave away your privacy?
And let's just remind our viewers too. So what exactly did she do? She went on and basically went through the whole process of how a woman can.
She wants to help teach women how to do this. In order to do this, and let's assume this is what a real motive was. She wanted to get votes. She completely opened her life up, her privacy. How can a woman who's doing that say, why are you invading my privacy?
Yeah, that reminds me of when the two British people and the two royals, I can't even recall the names, but South Park made of them. They went on the worldwide privacy tour, right? You can't go on the worldwide privacy tour and expect to be private, right?
Yeah,
like you can't put it all out there. And yeah, exactly. Oh yeah. Oh man.
Now tell me how that woman gets to argue that people are invading her privacy, because I mean this is a highly debatable procedure that has both biological, medical, and moral questions.
Isn't it probably a,
But I
not
don't
the
know
best
why.
time to
I
have
mean,
a
I'd
kid?
have to get Dr. Maria to explain this to me. But if she's freezing her eggs so that 10 years from now she can have a baby with them, they're going to have to come out of her body.
I think that we're probably the wrong show to talk
No,
about the
I'm not an
particulars
expert
on the
on it.
science about
So
this.
she's freezing her eggs. They're going to come out of her body. Then she's going to put them somewhere with somebody who keeps frozen eggs. And then when she decides she wants to have a baby, she's afraid that she'll be, what is she, 30 something, 37, 38?
Oh gosh. That's scary to think about. You don't
Well,
have
I don't know
enough. You
how
don't
old
have
she
enough
is,
wisdom
but
at that age to be
she's
president.
she's worried that she'll be too old to have a baby. She may even be more worried that she's too old to have a baby safely, because theoretically, the older you are, the more of a chance there is that there'll be a problem with the pregnancy. So you want young eggs. Now, it doesn't. What is?
And just to remind everyone, she is 36 years old.
Okay, so she's 36, which I guess is still pretty young. But so if she wants to wait 10 years while she's running for president to have babies, controversy that we have now in two different cases, in which the parents, the parents who donated the egg to what is called a surrogate mother, found out that in one case the kid had a cleft lip, and in the other case the kid had a heart problem, and they said kill it, abort it, eliminate it. I don't remember exactly where along the period of time it was in terms of the development of the embryo, but by the time it started to get to court, it was clear murder. But the parents were insistent, murder the kid. Now the question is, who gets possession? Who gets custody of the kid? Does the mommy who is the surrogate mommy who wanted to keep the kid alive get custody? The two guys who want to kill it get custody. Kind of stupid to give it to the two people who wanted to kill it, right?
Well, and if we think about it, so what is the prevailing law in these situations? Because can you even contract for things like this legally?
There is a contract. Is the contract enforceable? One of the things in the contract that the surrogate mother violated, they had perfect control over when and how she had to end that pregnancy. And she had no discretion to. It was not enforceable. Sorry.
If we can just advise the surrogate mothers, if that's what you choose to do out there, like read those contracts.
The lawyer arguing the case said it's like if we would have enforced a contract to do a hit job.
Exactly. But you got progressive cities where, you know what, we're almost there.
But she brought herself to Texas, so she won.
Amen.
Now the question is, who gets possession? The kid is born. The kid is safe. The kid is in Texas. They had to make every extraordinary effort possible to keep the kid alive. They couldn't let the kid just die like Tampon Tim does. So now, I mean, I'm practically who gets the kid? I'm Solomon. The one who loves it gets the kid.
And either way, if
you want to kill it, you don't love it.
We need to be praying for this child as well. Pray for this child, because this is not a situation that, she could ask for.
How about the one with the cleft palate? The parents wanted to kill it. I mean, do you realize how well? Oh, so AOC is arguing that people are being sexist because they are questioning her judgments with regard to this freezing of eggs. Well, if she didn't want them to do it, what the hell did she do it on national television for? I don't think I've ever seen. I've never seen anybody do that before.
some
And
terrible.
kind of figure that you gave up your privacy and it's open for public debate. So you keep yourself clothed modestly and keep your personal decisions to yourself rather than trying to utilize them to get all the crazy socialist communists on your side who love this idea of artificial birth. Because we can get God out of it completely. Wow. Let's make people as unnatural as possible.
What if the whole origin of this entire charade or extravaganza is a dirty political consultant came with a poll and said, "Hey, you're going to get a serious bump if you do this egg freezing thing."
I know there are people even on the right wing who are saying, well, maybe she wanted to be a parent. I don't know. That's one interpretation. The other is the other interpretation. You figure out which it is. Was this a woman just dying to have children who could not fulfill her life without having children? Or was it a woman looking for a 5-point bump on a pole, sticking her stomach out and going like this? You figure it out. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back while you're figuring out which of the two the bartender is. Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's Coffee. Tunnels to Towers Foundation honors America's greatest heroes. Heroes like the dedicated public servant, Josh Bischoff. Josh began his firefighting career as a volunteer and quickly rose through the ranks to become CAL FIRE's assistant chief of tactical air operations. Josh was driven by a deep sense of purpose and a passion for serving others. His leadership earned him great respect across the entire state of California and beyond that, until tragedy struck. And 2 helicopters collided while fighting a California wildfire. Josh was killed in the crash. He left behind his wonderful wife, Cheryl, and their 2 children, Derek and Juliana. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation paid the Bischoff family's mortgage immediately, lifting a financial burden and enabling Josh's family to focus on healing after unimaginable loss. Josh's family is committed to honoring his memory by living with the same drive, the same joy, the same patriotism, and the same purpose that he did. Honor and help heroes like Josh and their families who've sacrificed everything. Donate $11 a month. Well, it's very sad to announce that now Tommy John is going to be known, of course, for the Tommy John surgery. He also should be known for what an intrepid pitcher he was. He pitched for, at minimum, the White Sox, the Yankees, and the Dodgers. He pitched in World Series against the Yankees and for the Yankees. He was a remarkable pitcher before the problem with his shoulder. when he came back, oh, it's the elbow. Dr. Maria, correct me, it's the elbow. Well, and then when he got the surgery, he was the first one to ever come back for it. And his career was even better. He had become a little bit of a different kind of pitcher. He was an overpowering fastball pitcher, and he became an extremely crafty pitcher, kind of like what I remember. He was a lefty also. What I remembered of Whitey Ford, who holds the record for the most shutout innings in the World Series, Hall of Fame pitcher for the Yankees. One of the Yankees, could be the Yankees' greatest pitcher, Whitey. But Tommy John helped the Yankees to a World Series twice, once by losing for the Dodgers and once by winning for the Yankees. He pitched a game that I will always remember because I sat in the bleachers with my son, Andrew, and my best friend, Peter Powers, and we watched the Yankees win a must-win game when they were down 2-1 to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And he pitched for the Dodgers, and he pitched great. And then we finally got him like in the 7th inning and beat him. I got to know him really well. He was a very intelligent man, a very good man, very nice man, and had the courage to do that surgery and come back. Everybody else was afraid to come back after because they said it would ruin your arm for good. Now it's routine. I don't know if it's routine. Is it close to routine, Ted? Would you say it's routine?
That's a good. I think as of, I'd say 15 years ago it was.
Well, he did it 35 years ago, 40 years ago.
But I haven't. Have you heard of it as much recently?
A fair amount.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if we heard it. Dr. Maria says it's the best surgery.
They do it in the minor leagues now.
Oh, for an unstable elbow. She didn't just mean of all surgeries.
It has become so routine that they do it. Like in the past, they would do it if things were like terrible, awful. Now they do it. I'm not going to say as a preventive measure, but almost as a preventive measure. You'll see a lot of 18, 19, and 20-year-olds getting it early in their career so they don't have to get it later. A lot of it occurs in the minor leagues now, Ted.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I don't know that it's routine surgery, but it's becoming routine surgery. The difficulty with it is if it's in the middle of your career as a big leaguer, you may lose 2 years.
2 years.
Well, the best recovery you're going to get is 1 year. But you may need 2-year recovery. Not anymore, but you used to.
Let's see. So the current pitchers, Shohei Ohtani,
No, Tony was out recently with it.
Justin Verlander,
You're talking about Hall of Fame pitchers now, or soon to be Hall of Fame pitchers.
Tariq Skubal, the Tigers pitcher who just got traded to the Dodgers. John Smoltz, recent great John Smoltz.
Now you want to take a look at the ones that had it in the minor leagues. It's amazing. You get a whole bunch of those too. But in any event, there's another thing in baseball we should note because it's very rare that you get a first time something in a sport as old as baseball. A baseball player for the Cardinals made his debut as a rookie, and he did something that no rookie in the 150 years of baseball or so has done. Do you know what that is?
I do. I saw it though. So
You saw it.
I don't want to.
He hit 3 home runs in his first appearance. There are a few that hit 2, but this is the first one to hit 3. And he did it as a member of the St. Louis Cardinals against their traditional long-term rivals, the Chicago Cubs. Now, Baez is an interesting story. Baez was a first-round draft pick at about 2 years old. I'm saying 2 years old. He was like 15 or 16 when they first brought him up. And but they've spent half a decade watching him fail. When he came up, he was only like, they had him pitching in the minor leagues at 16 years old. He got his teeth kicked in, as they say. And now, finally, after all this time, he's made it. And you see him there going around the bases. One of them was 449 feet.
Swing and a high fly.
And this is after having been a failure in the minors for quite some time, until they gave him time off. He went like on a sabbatical for working on his swing, came back, and he was a dynamo. And now you can see that swing is quite a swing, huh?
First time, first 3 at-bats, 3 home runs. Like something.
He's hit a couple in the minors. He had 34 home runs in the minors before they brought him up, including one that was 474 feet.
So he can hit.
So this isn't a fluke. This is for real. You're going to be hearing about him in the future. A very, very good suggestion that I think is really necessary, and it comes from Art Laffer and all the people who understand taxation better than anything else. Trump has kept the capital gains tax low, and that is a real benefit. There's a real benefit to about 74% of the American taxpayers. However, the ones that are upper middle class and middle class are getting hurt a bit because of inflation, because the top tax rate of 23.8%. Remember, if you get a capital gain, let's say you're at the top tax rate, you're going to pay 40% on income, but you get to pay 24% on capital gains. So, almost half, right? However, that percentage and what it means has changed with inflation. And that rate should be brought down in conjunction with inflation, because it stopped reaching the 51% crossover to socialism. Not many economists have this theory except me, and I'm not an economist. But my theory is this. If I'm working and I'm paying taxes, I'm okay with that, as long as the government isn't the senior partner in my wages. In other words, the government gets more than my family and me. Then we're moved over into the area of socialism. We can define just what kind of socialism it is. We can define how bad it's going to become. I assure you, once you go over that threshold, they start to take everything. And in a state like New York, for example, state like New York, you pay, without a capital gains tax, you pay 55% of your income to the government. If you, like I did, move to Florida, you know what you get? You get a 30% wage increase. Not from your employer. You get to keep 30% more of how much you earned. I bet you didn't realize it was that much. Very similar calculation, California to Texas, or California to Florida, or New York to Texas. So why do you think they're moving there? What's his name?
Are you talking about Telefrico?
Yeah, Federico.
Tellerico. It's Tellerico.
You're talking about Texas?
Floridora. What's his name? Floridora.
Tellerico. James Tellerico.
Some polls have him leading.
Yeah, by 1 point.
Isn't that's?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think Democrats have learned not to expect too much down in Texas.
But they would prefer to run against who they're running against.
Well,
than the other guy.
Well, maybe because he's a real true conservative.
And maybe, yeah, exactly. He's not a uniparty.
It won't be another vote for John Thune and McConnell if he gets elected.
The Washington
It'll be a vote
Uniparty
for Trump if he gets
establishment.
elected. Maybe we're fighting a battle that's worth it.
Yeah, how's the SAVE Act doing, Corny?
Look. If we had the ex-judge there, he'd vote the right way on leadership, and we need that. But it'd be another 2 more years of 4 Republicans or 5 Republicans when we want to really do something important on taxes, backing off on us or siding in with the biggest, whoever the hell the biggest lobbyist is. All those guys, the McConnell crew, are into taking in a lot of dough.
Yeah, don't forget Paxton has a whole lot of support as well, right? Like he's a coalition builder in a big state. And he's delivered a lot of victories as Attorney General for the state of Texas. So I wouldn't, you know,
he was one of the people I could
him.
rely on the most after the 2020 election.
Yes, well, Andy's a sharp enough legal mind to understand it.
He wasn't afraid to take on.
The more we talk about him,
anything.
the more I'm just really rooting for the. Obviously, I would always be rooting for the guy. But
I wish we did a better job. You know, we have done a pretty good job on defining these other left-wing kookies. This Federico guy hasn't been laid out the way he should be.
yes,
He's a really bad guy and a complete phony.
and not enough California and New York transplants have moved to Austin to put that in the mainstream of like the Texas.
If we get it laid out right, we'll beat it.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, all you have to do. 2026 is an election between freedom and socialism, and they represent the socialism, and we represent the freedom, and it's just whatever issue else matters to voters. That's how we got to frame it.
Well,
And that's what we're seeing.
yeah. Well, here's Mr. Tallarico. He doesn't seem to think Black Americans have the ability to obtain
and died for that right, and died for that right. And so for politicians in Austin or in Washington, as they're now doing with this SAVE Act, they are trying to rob our neighbors, particularly our Black neighbors, of those God-given rights. So
particularly our Black neighbors. He's
You
saying,
guys don't know Howdy Doody, but you look to me like Howdy Doody.
howdy doody. You know, well, that reminds me of what the president had a nice one today. Well, is this him?
Well,
Here's howdy doody.
I see it.
Show them Howdy Doody.
Yeah, I see it.
See if I'm right. There you go. No, but you see, you don't have the right Howdy Doody. You got to show Howdy Doody going like this.
Okay.
He was a puppet.
Howdy doody.
Well, that I think we can say.
Yeah, we'll work on that for
They are alike in.
For tomorrow, we can get Rob on
It's
this.
the
with his
Howdy
AI.
Doody show. It's the Howdy Doody show. It's the Howdy
Well, here it
Doody
is.
show.
He did make one.
It's the Howdy Doody
How you
show.
feel? Howdy, Frico. Tell Texas and America how you feel. I feel like all the money spent on the border wall could have funded at least 20 million gender surgeries for today's youth instead, and I feel like I make a great chameleon on my political ads too. Well, thanks for being honest, you unstable little freak.
Somebody, I thought that. Somebody
made
thought that already.
I looked it up.
So you see, I wasn't off, was I?
No, not at all.
Did the guy do anything else? We've got to find out. We're going to play all this stuff.
Yeah,
Well, we
Take
have
a look.
we have a whole.
Pico, whatever the hell his name is.
Howdy, Tallarico. We'll do that one. President Trump today. Well, I'll give you another one.
He does a big religious thing too. Howdy Doody. Howdy Doody's a big religious guy, except it doesn't prevent him from killing babies.
Oh man, it's funny. My father would always talk about the Howdy Doody show. When was that?
When your father and I were young,
So this is
with Buffalo Bob Bill.
this is John Ossoff. He is in Georgia.
Oh, here's another communist.
This is John Ossoff. So I want to show you John here, and let us know. And I'm going to show what the president had some comments about Ossoff. So I want to play that. And let us know if you agree with the president on this characterization.
John Ossoff said you'd rather travel with your aide, Natalie Harp, and build the ballroom than do your job as president. What is your
Who said
response,
that?
John Ossoff?
You mean Pee Wee Herman? Pee Wee Herman look-alike?
Pee Wee Herman.
No, I would much rather.
He called John Ossoff Pee Wee Herman.
Pee Wee Herman.
Oh, you don't want that.
I got to listen to Ossoff enough. I didn't even know he was in the Senate.
Ossoff is basically like Obama. He's one of those people who like kind of copies Obama, right?
He looks very serious. He looks like he's very pretentious.
Yeah, exactly. This guy is someone I think.
Now look at that look. He's got that polished.
If he wins,
He's got that trained, polished look.
Oh, you
of
can
it.
tell he's been working out a little
Yeah.
bit. I think he was scrawnier
If
before.
he wins as a Democrat in Georgia, this guy's going to start thinking about 28. He's got to win the Senate seat.
He's a smart guy, I will
Look
say.
how important he looks. What is he saying? Do we know if he's saying anything?
Bashing Trump. I
We're just-
purposely didn't want to play.
We're
it.
just
Bashing-
comparing him to Pee Wee Herman
He's bad,
and how much
yeah.
he looks like Pee Wee Herman. And it's a lot.
I think my guy looks more like Howdy Doody than that guy looks like Pee Wee Herman, but I don't
Fair.
want to say anything.
Fair.
That's fair.
So in New York City, which breaks my heart, and this happened last Friday. But there was a picture of where it happened today in the Post, and the minute I saw the picture, I don't know, I kind of broke up a little. This is a synagogue that back in about 2000. 1999 or 2000, I probably would have to say, burned. Here's the synagogue. This is a central synagogue. It's on 55th Street, and it's on 55th Street and Lexington Avenue. I was driving home from playing some golf, and I got a call that Central Synagogue was on fire. And I rushed there, and I worked with my firefighters. And of course, they made the decision, but I agreed with it, to send the firefighters into the top of that building. It was burning from the top. And the inside of the building got pretty much burned out, but they saved the core of the building. It took about 2 months to figure out if it was still structurally sound. It was. They raised the money to build it, and it finally was rebuilt right after September 11. And we did the rededication in December of 2001, and we did a funeral for a firefighter there, Jewish firefighter. It's one of the oldest synagogues in New York. It's one of the most. It's a work of art inside. It has a bit of a yes, yeah. It's an Ashkenazi congregation, but it's a little bit of a Sephardic look, a little bit of a Mediterranean look. And the rabbi who now lives on the West Coast, and I occasionally still talk to him, was absolute genius. And he let me give talks there, which I did, because I love the rabbi who left about 2 years after to go retire in California and take over a smaller congregation. Used to constantly thank the New York City Fire Department and Tom Von Essen and me for saving his synagogue by responding faster than any other fire department on earth could have responded, he said. And he's pretty close to right. So that's the synagogue where a woman, an older woman, was walking out, and an animal named Larry Montes 46, who was yelling out "F the Jews" and called the Jewish people swine. I don't know if you can get the pictures of this. Attacked Michelle Annenberg Poma and almost killed her. I would say the Israeli council from Israel to the United States had the courage to make the following statement, to which I sustain campaign of incitement, said Consul General Ophir Akunis. I warned that words would turn into action, and that is exactly what is happening. Mondami has failed to protect New York Jews. It's not enough to issue weak condemnations, which it doesn't even always do. Action is needed. How many more attacks before we realize this is a very, very serious national problem? Washington, Los Angeles, Michigan, Florida. They're going after Jews all over the country. Sound familiar? Probably not to the ignorant who don't read history. Probably that passes over. Hopefully everyone on my show understands what I just said. But if I was probably just on general television, half of the numbskulls wouldn't even know what I was talking about. And the other half probably like them. What they've done to us is, it's hard to say where has the biggest damage been done? Has it been done in our education system? Is it in our religious system, in which we've removed to a very large extent the ethical anchor of God? Because whether you believe in God or not, and I do, I tell people, and I have convinced them. Oh, there you go. That's what happened in the. You see, Ted, what a beautiful city. 10 speeches there, Ted, at that podium, and it probably is one of the best places you get to speak.
Good crowd.
Always. Probably the most educated Jewish crowd in the city.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And then when you get questioned, I mean, they know what
like thoughtful, thoughtful dialogue.
They know the Bible. They know their Bible. They know our Bible. They know politics. They're sensible people. The rabbi was beautiful. Man was a beautiful man. Cardinal O'Connor loved him. He was very well respected by the Orthodox and by the Catholics. And so
it's happening around the country too. It's not isolated, as you say. It's a national movement.
We can list it all, right? Education, parenting.
Well, and I would say, obviously, the social media platforms.
But the way this country educates them and the way this country exposes them to information and ideas, or allows them to be exposed to information and ideas, has deteriorated them completely.
Yep, two sides. It's a two-sided thing, and like we've been saying repeatedly, lack of civics education, lack of history education, lack of education about our founding. Like we watched this Young Washington yesterday, and most young people wouldn't be able to tell you that story. Well, and actually the Young Washington is sort of an interesting story, but people don't know George Washington, Jefferson. People don't know about our founding.
Oh yeah, they do. They're slaveholders and horrible people. And you should take their statues down.
Yep. And then in pop culture, it gets celebrated and embraced. And
so a professor at, believe it or not, University of California, Berkeley, has attacked the admissions policy of the university. This is one of theirs, right? Some students are 5 to 8 years behind in mathematics. Office hours that should be spent discussing integrals instead of become lessons on fractions and basic algebra. You would expect students to learn in middle school. Stand. She has a PhD at Harvard. She was born as a communist in Bulgaria. She's calling for the restoration of the SAT and ACT scores in admission to ensure that students get in, or at least basically ready for college level work, so that everybody else doesn't get set back.
And maybe, focus admissions back on the academics and make sure that the young people who are going to these institutions are prepared to succeed at them.
Do you know the SAT scores also have been weighted 30% less than
I heard
30
just
years
getting rid of
ago.
them. Some
What?
schools are just not doing that anymore.
What?
Some schools are just getting rid of testing altogether.
Well, they have. Most schools have. Most schools don't do it anymore.
Yeah, we had the ACT. I didn't have the SAT. I didn't take the SAT. No.
But what
You
a
had
disservice.
the ACT?
What a
You
disservice.
didn't have the SAT.
What a disservice to put these kids unprepared for college into an environment where they're going to be stressed and
I
unsuccessful.
should introduce you to my running mate, Herman Padilla, who wrote a great book on social graduation, which means in the 3rd grade, they can't do 2nd grade reading, but because you don't want to embarrass them, you promote them to the 4th grade. By the 4th grade, they're basically still back at the 2nd grade. And by the time they're in the 8th grade, they're committing crimes.
Yep.
Because they can't read, they can't think, they can't do anything.
And vulnerable to the very messages that
Almost didn't believe what I heard. Samuel Moyn, a professor at Yale Law School, told an interviewer that parents can't be trusted because they have a divergence of interest with their own children. What the hell does that mean?
in what capacity is he referring? Like the students at the school?
I guess they have a different ideology than the students. I think I only read a little of this article. I got to go get the whole article. I think what he's saying is the parents tend to be more like Trump people. And
Is he regularly talking to the parents?
how does he know?
Because see, that's the thing. I think that at a certain point, you have to become an adult, and like your parents shouldn't be calling your professor at Yale Law School. I don't know if that's the context that we're referring to, but that to me just illustrates the coddling of our nation's youth, right? If your parents are calling your law school
you
professor.
don't even have to get to be socialist, communist, DSA Democrat, and they believe that the parents should be excluded. Wasn't the whole election in Virginia because the state apparatus will make you into a socialist, communist, sure Democrat voter. So
Yes.
the Democrats want you to be a Democrat voter. They don't really care the rest of what happens to you.
See, when the children are young, that's when parents need to actually step up and be parents, and you can't leave it to the state.
And then when they do, the school board tries to put them in jail.
Exactly. Or not tell them things about life-changing decisions involving gender or
But I'm gonna go get this whole background of this and find out what he's talking about when he says that the parents can't be trusted because they have a divergence of interest. Now, when I looked into this earlier, when I was mayor, part of it was like racism and liberal racism. The liberals don't believe that there are enough good black parents to trust them. So therefore, we're going to teach the black kids what they need to know because they don't have families. What they don't understand is that is still a significant minority of black kids, that they are sacrificing the majority for the much less frequent minority, because most of them do have a mother, a grandmother, an uncle, a somebody who really has an interest in their education. Witness the fact that there are 174,000 applications for private school from public school students, about 70% of which are black. Communist racists are trying to kill them.
well, no one supports charter schools like the African-American parental community.
And nobody is against it like the African-American politicians.
But I'm worried that you're actually ascribing too noble of values to the people who are trying to, they know what they want to indoctrinate the kids from a young age and make the state more in control and limit the
I think the
old-fashioned
black
traditional
politicians
values.
do it for money. I think they do it in order to get the money from the teachers union and
Yes.
don't really give it like, look, if black politicians had been really effective and honest and straightforward, most of your poor areas would be gone, because a lot of the money that was intended for those poor areas went to them and their friends and their political causes. I mean, we've put billions, if not trillions, into curing poverty, and we've helped. Poverty is less than it was. Nobody will admit that, but it is. But we've done very, very little, except for a certain period of time, and then reversed it all with Obama and Biden to make people who are at the much poorer end of the spectrum understand the value of work. And it's the politicians who avoid that because they wouldn't have their dependent vote then.
Exactly.
So here we are, beginning of the week.
Monday.
And we've already covered everything. We'll see you next week. No, we'll be back tomorrow. A lot to cover, a lot to go over, telling us we're going to lose, which means we're going to lose America. I don't believe we are necessarily going to lose, but I'm going to spell out to you at some point in the next couple of days what it would mean if we did. Because they're trying to take your country away. They're trying to take your culture away. They're trying to take your civilization and your religions away. They're trying to take your parents away. Whether it's the communists or the Islamic extremists, they've come together in a mutuality of interest. That could crack up at some point, but not right now. And then you get a couple who as human beings, combine them, like Mandani. He's a out-and-out communist and an out-and-out lover of Islamic extremism and violence. Well, you got to stick with us because we got to find the ways to fight back. And they start off at the ballot box. So we'll be back tomorrow. You go over to Lindell TV now and watch Dr. Maria. Or I guess at 8 o'clock, right? 8 p.m. Right, because we end now at 6. I didn't even think of that. See, Israel, Iran, Ukraine, America, and our president, so that God continues to guide him in the right direction. Because ultimately, God bless America. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason